2022 will be Cardano's biggest year yet. This year, we'll see the two final stages of Cardano's development roadmap, giving improvements from efficiency to governance and beyond. Now, it's unfortunate that in 2021's boom of NFTs, DAOs, and DeFi products, Cardano hasn't really held the industry's attention, and critics have been dismissive of the slow burn achievements that have come out so far. But what's next for Cardano? Is it still the beast that it once was? Here's where we stand and everything we can look forward to from the Cardano team in 2022. DeFi has been a bit of a question mark for ADA holders. While there is staking built in with Cardano, there are still not many functional dApps within the ecosystem that can compete with the likes of BNB or Avalanche. And this is despite the Alonzo smart contracts upgrade being released 4 entire months ago. But Hoskinson has said that the ecosystem is there and that it'll be very active in the coming weeks. In one of his live videos, he addresses concerns over the Cardano DeFi Alliance, specifically the fact that there doesn't seem to be any DeFi use cases on the network, a concern that I have, a concern that you probably have. He responded saying that he has knowledge of 127 projects, including wallets, DEXs, and NFT marketplaces being built at the moment. And to guide the direction of this network is the DeFi Alliance, a community of developers aiming to establish the standards and best practices in the spirit of, quote, cooperative competitiveness. Now, we can't let Cardano off the hook completely here. They mostly missed out on the growth of the $100 billion DeFi sector this year, but it seems that there may be some catalysts on the horizon. And before we go further, I need to do a quick portfolio update. Linked in the description is my private community where I post all of my crypto buy alerts. Here's a snapshot of my portfolio, up over $100,000 in the last year. So if you'd like to get these alerts along with a ton of additional content like free coaching, research reports, and our $100,000 challenge, make sure you grab a spot ASAP. It's the best darn deal on the internet for a reason. Now, what's in the future for Cardano? The Alonzo hard fork, which I covered last year, brought some much needed functionality to the Cardano blockchain. It allowed developers to finally build on the network, making use of smart contracts. These contracts make use of Plutus, a programming language similar to Haskell, but created specifically for Cardano. It's a functional programming language. Now, Charles Hoskinson, during one of his holiday season live sessions, talked about the hard fork combinator event coming in February, which brings with it several improvements to Plutus, that programming language on Cardano. Improvements that will help light wallet developers integrate dApp stores much more easily, which in turn will help developers to build the DeFi ecosystem on Cardano even further. But what's particularly exciting to me about this upgrade is the potential for interoperability. Full Ethereum interoperability, Hoskinson says, will be brought to the mainnet towards the latter half of 2022. This would open Cardano up to the massive Ethereum ecosystem while allowing users to enjoy the low fees of Cardano. And this would come into view alongside the Voltaire hard fork, which we anticipate to happen some point around June. The focus of Voltaire is going to be on governance, allowing Cardano and their community to develop proposals and then vote on those proposals as a community. So an example of this in practice could be transaction fees. Let's say users begin to think Cardano fees should be a little bit lower. As a community, we can make that decision and vote on this to enact lower fees on the network. How this is done is through a system called Cardano Improvement Proposals, or CIPs. Cardano.org lists 3 major types of CIPs. First is Standards Track CIP. You can think of this as very large changes, things that could affect the network protocol or interoperability of the system. The second is a Process CIP. This can propose a change to a process or event regarding Cardano. This is like slightly smaller changes. It could be a procedure, guideline, or a tool used in development. And then last, we have informational CIPs. An example of this could be design issues or general guidelines without necessarily proposing new features. Really, what all of this means is the network will be closer to becoming a fully decentralized ecosystem, which has been a goal of Cardano since day one. Also, something to note here is if you'd like to participate further in the Cardano network, you should do so by staking your ADA. Doing so actually helps Cardano and earns you passive income paid directly into your wallet. Now, I have a stake pool. You can join it if you're interested. If you'd like to join my stake pool, all you have to do is delegate to ticker symbol MAX1. Doing so will yield you about 5% annually on top of any regular price appreciation just from holding your ADA. And we donate 5% of all revenue to the Organization for Autism Research, and that's at no cost to you. I'll have more information linked in the description, or you can check out Stake with Max goldmanmax.com. Now, another big part of Hosk's announcements was the continued work on bringing finance to underbanked and unbanked African countries. Hosk and the boys, they went on a tour to 6 countries last year. During that tour, they proposed solutions to assist African businesses who need access to financing outside of the traditional banking system. The African banking system is pretty messed up. It's one of the worst and most predatory in the entire world. So the goal here is to allow these individuals to essentially skip past traditional banking and jump right into Web3 banking solutions. The problem in many of these countries is the lack of regulations and transparency. This leads to predatory services with security risks and interest rates that would make Scott Tucker blush. What really matters is access to capital in these countries. This is the key to growing an economy, and this is one of the most exciting use cases for crypto in general, if you ask me. It's very exciting to get financing to these countries. I see Cardano picking up more and more governmental partnerships in the future. Partnerships like their deal with Ethiopia to build and provide a blockchain-based student ID system for more than 5 million students. And if you think about it, when it comes to crypto and governments, it sounds like an oxymoron or like a match that would never happen. Cardano is likely the #1 choice due to Cardano's philosophy of engineering and safety to the nth degree, a philosophy that has actually hurt them in the last months due to the complexity of their systems. So it's an interesting thought experiment. Who wins in the long run? The fastest movers who can grow a user base that they then attempt to defend in the long run as other projects get introduced and build better and better systems. Basically, they're the first movers. Or is it the slow but careful movers who measure twice, cut once, plodding along, making sure everything is perfect at the expense of losing potential users in the short run in order to have the best possible product in the long run? If we looked at history, there are examples of both sides winning. Both types can win. I mean, Gillette Razors is an example of a company who was a first mover who pulled it off for the long haul. They pioneered the safety razor in 1903 and held the majority share of the razor market for more than 100 years. But then on the other side is Xerox with their fax machines or Netscape with their internet browser. Both of these companies were first to the scene, picked up massive market share, and then eventually lost to competitors. So I wanted to learn more about this, and I found a piece done by the Harvard Business Review on whether it's possible to determine if a first mover will win in the long run. And this turned out to be extremely insightful. So they said that the first mover advantage is kept in 3 main ways. First, a technological edge over competitors. Second, taking away scarce assets that competitors need. Or third, building a base of customers who would find it especially costly or inconvenient to switch to a competitor. Now, if we take these 3 criteria and compare Ethereum versus Cardano, we can get a better understanding of the future. Does Ethereum have a technological advantage? I would argue yes and no. Cardano is certainly better in efficiency, but Ethereum is currently easier to build on. Is Ethereum taking away scarce assets that Cardano needs? I would argue likely no. And is it costly for users to switch from Ethereum to another network? I would say no, not at all. So based on these criteria, it's hard to argue that Ethereum's lead is set in stone, but will Cardano be the winner? I wish I could tell you. At this point, there are many exciting layer 1 projects out there, but the main point here is that the tides can turn, that Ethereum may not be #1 forever, and if we listen to the Harvard Business Review, they would say it likely won't be that way forever. So expanding on this further, HBS, they go into which markets are most likely to see a first mover retain their position at #1. And the answer is when the waters are calm, winners stay winning. What they mean by this is in industries where technology doesn't advance quickly, the head honcho is more likely to stay ahead. And what are the worst industries for keeping that #1 position? HBS says industries that evolve rapidly see the highest likelihood of the king being dethroned. So if we look at the crypto industry, I'm not sure that there's an industry moving faster. The landscape today is totally different than it was even 1 year ago, even 6 months ago, really. So what do I personally take from all of this? I kind of believe that there's a ticking time clock on Ethereum. If they're not able to improve their fees and technology quickly, it will be very hard for them to remain #1 for the long haul. If Cardano can get dApps and usability off the ground soon enough, I think they'll be a very, very solid contender. But like like I mentioned, competition is very tough right now. We have to be realistic with ourselves. So what else is in store for Cardano? I mentioned that there are two major hard fork events that are set to happen in the next year. This would be the first time in Cardano history that the project would go through two major evolutions within the same year. In the first quarter of this year, we're expected to see the launch of Basho, where Scalability Solutions are going to be the main focus. This goes hand in hand with the fact that many DeFi protocols will go live at the same time, increasing the likelihood that the network may be congested and the need for more scaling solutions. The main solution here is the introduction of sidechains, essentially new blockchains which are connected and interoperable with the Cardano main chain. These function by offloading some of the work from the main network to be processed elsewhere in order to free up some of the main net's capacity. One of them is called Mithril, which is named after the fictional metal from The Lord of the Rings. Mithril is ultimately going to be used to make multi-signature transactions faster and more efficient while retaining all the security features of the main network. Now, another sidechain solution is called Hydra. This one is very exciting, which may launch even sooner than originally thought. It's a layer 2 scalability solution which aims to maximize the throughput of the Cardano network and reduce latency, all at little to no cost. What makes that possible is a concept called isomorphic state channels, basically where siblings of the ledger called heads are created. And inside of every Hydra head, you can find native assets, NFTs, protocols, and supported transaction speeds of 1,000 per second. So if Hydra ever gets to the point where it's a 1,000-headed beast, we could one day see potential speeds of 1 million transactions per second. Now, what I think a lot of us love about Cardano is the ethos of the project, attempting to do things right the very first time. And it's pretty clear that at this point, they aren't in a rush to beat all other projects to the punch, a tactic that really will only show its results with time. Either way, this is still an exciting time for the ecosystem and crypto as a whole. And it's important to remember how early we are in this space. So much can change even in a few months. The only thing we can be certain of at this point is uncertainty and excitement. There's going to be a lot that happens and a lot that we don't guess. And that's going to do it for today. Make sure you grab my spot in the Patreon down below. And from here, I recommend you check out this video guide on screen to technical analysis. Over 100 hours of work went into this single video, and I think you'll really, really enjoy it. I'd like to thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.